All right. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We are back. Continuing with our look at the triennial Torah portion. This week, we are going to be looking at Exodus chapter 4. Exodus chapter 4, which is, and he answered. And he answered. All right. We're on location here. I don't know if the sound quality is up to par or the visuals, but we're here. We'll be able to see the scriptures and hopefully we heard okay. Hopefully the streaming power is good enough here. Seems like we have the bars here. That light sure does make my beard look gray. All right, so let me go ahead and pull up the scriptures here. We're going to go ahead and look at Exodus chapter 4. We'll go ahead and read through Exodus chapter 4. We'll just read through the entire chapter and then we'll go ahead and go back and discuss. Okay, so let me go ahead and put these verses here up on the screen. And we'll go ahead and read Exodus chapter 4. Let's see here. 1 second. I want this one here. Okay. All right. Hold on.
You got a comment?
Hold on 1 second. Oh, okay, good. All right, perfect. Thank you very much. All right, so go ahead and start reading here at verse number 1.
Exodus 4 and 1. And Moshe answered and said, And if they do not believe me, nor listen to my voice, and say, Yahweh has not appeared to you. And Yahweh said to them, What is that in your hand? And he said, A rod. And he said, Throw it on the ground. So he threw it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moshe fled from it. And Yahweh said to Moshe, Reach out your hand and seize it by the tail. So he reached out his hand and took hold of it, and became a rod in his hand. So that they believed that Yahweh Elohim of their fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Yitzchak, and the Elohim of Yaakov, has appeared to you. And Yahweh said to him again, Now put your hand in your bosom. And he put his hand in his bosom, and when he had taken it out, and see, his hand was leprous, like snow. And he said, Put your hand in your bosom again. So he put his hand in his bosom again, and he drew it out of his bosom, and see, it was restored like his other flesh. And it shall be, if they do not believe you, nor listen to the voice of the first sign, they shall believe the voice of the latter sign. And it shall be, if they do not believe even these two signs, or listen to your voice, that you shall take water from the river and pour it on the dry land. And the water which you take from the river shall become blood on the dry land. And Moshe said to Yahweh, O Yahweh, I am not a man of words, neither before nor since you have spoken to your servant, for I am slow of speech and slow of tongue. And Yahweh said to him, who has made man's mouth? Or who makes dumb or deaf or seeing or blind? Is it not I, Yahweh? And now go, and I shall be with your mouth and teach you what to say. But he said, O Yahweh, please send by the hand of him who you would send. And the displeasure of Yahweh burned against Moshe. And he said, is not Aaron the Levite your brother? I know that he speaks well. And see, he is also coming out to meet you. And when he sees you, he shall be glad in his heart. And you shall speak to him and put the words in his mouth. And I am with your mouth and with his mouth. And I shall teach you what to do. And he shall speak for you to the people, and it shall be that he shall be a mouth for you, and you shall be an Elohim for him. And take this rod in your hand, with which you shall do the signs. Then Moshe went and returned to Yethro, his father-in-law, and said to him, please let me go and return to my brothers who are in Mitzrayim, to see whether they are still alive. And Yethro said to Moshe, go in peace. And Yahweh said to Moshe in Midian, go, return to Mitzrayim, for all the men are dead who sought your life. So Moshe took his wife and his sons and set them on a donkey. And he returned to the land of Mitzrayim. And Moshe took the rod of Elohim in his hand. And Yahweh said to Moshe, as you go back to Mitzrayim, see that you do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in your hand. But I am going to strengthen his heart, so that he does not let the people go. And you shall say to Pharaoh, thus said Yahweh, Israel is my son, my firstborn. So I say to you, let my son go to serve me. But if you refuse to let him go, see, I am killing your son, your firstborn. And it came to be on the way in the lodging place that Yahweh met him and sought to kill him. And Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son and threw it at his feet and said, you are indeed a bridegroom of blood to me. So he let him go. Then she said, you are a bridegroom of blood because of the circumcision. And Yahweh said to Aaron, go to meet Moshe in the wilderness. And he went and met him on the mountain of Elohim and kissed him. Moshe then told Aaron all the words of Yahweh who had sent him, and all the signs which he had commanded him. And Moshe went with Aaron and gathered together all the elders of the children of Israel. And Aaron spoke all the words which Yahweh had spoken to Moshe. Then he did the signs before the eyes of the people, and the people believed. And they heard that Yahweh had visited the children of Israel, and that he had looked on their affliction. And they bowed their heads and did obeisance.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. Let's go back up here. Back to the beginning. Let's see here. Okay, so we go back and look over here. Let's go back up to the first verse here. Back in Exodus chapter 4. Look at a few things because we're talking about, and he answered. And he answered. And so when we look over here, of course it says, and Moshe answered. We're talking about the fact that back in chapter 3, we saw that the Most High calls out to Moses. He calls out to Moshe. He sees the burning bush from afar off. He goes, he hears the call and he goes and he answers the call from the Most High. The Most High introduces himself. He tells him who he is to tell the people that is sending them, and that it is necessary for him to go and kind of be the mouthpiece, the facilitator of the deliverance that the Most High is going to be bringing. And so this chapter 4 here is now Moses' response, and he answers. So we see that if we was to look here, let's see here, if we just look at this here, this word here, answer, anam, is to heed, to pay attention, to respond. It literally means, to answer. This is his response. This is the way Moshe is taking heed to the things that the Most High has said to him previously over in, of course, the third chapter. And so we know that Moses, he is able to understand that he himself is dealing with the Almighty. But he needed to know, Moses needed to understand that not only he had to believe who it was that the Most High, that it was the Most High that was sending him, he also needed for Israel, the people, the nation, to understand. And also he needed for, most importantly, Pharaoh to understand, because, Pharaoh is the one who he is asking to actually do something, right? He wants, yes, right. And so Moses' response, he's like, if they don't believe me or listen to my voice and say that the Most High didn't appear to you. So the thing that Moses has to go through in terms of pleading with the Most High, so that the Most High can kind of, if we look back, when we think about, hold on 1 second. Let me just see this real quick. Hold on 1 second here. 1 moment. Okay, so if we remember, Moses was able to see the Most High from afar off and recognize who he was. The Most High didn't have to convince, per se, Moshe as to the fact that he was dealing with the Most High. And I think that is probably more of an indication that kind of what we were just talking about last week, the fact that Moses, during this time away, was kind of, in his way, drawing closer to the Most High. To the fact where he was able to recognize the Most High, when he shows up. And so when we look over here at Moses now, he's understanding what his situation may be in terms of him being able to see the burning bush and recognize that that was in fact the Most High, the angel of Yahweh in the bush. But he's thinking about now these people to say, if they do not believe me nor listen to my voice and say Yahweh has not appeared to you. And so Moses here kind of, what's it say here? Was Moshe contradicting them? I'm not sure that it was a contradicting necessarily. Well, I mean, I guess you could say that, but I think what it more so is, I would say, is the fact that he just is, well, it's doubt. It is doubt. It is doubt because the Most High told him what he was to do.
He should have just been like, yes, sir.
And he should have just had went, right? But at the same time, in his mind, he's thinking about them, which, is something that we might do, right? The Most High has given Moshe this assignment, and then we want to go and think how, if we were them, maybe, how their response would be to it. Even though like Moses is convinced already. He's already convinced. But he doesn't believe that both the people and Pharaoh will be as convinced. Which, I guess.
Pharaoh was never convinced.
I guess he's right. When you think about it, I guess he's right. But I think the issue is where, I guess we could say the contradiction, I guess, of the Most High would be is in the fact that this whole situation here is kind of slowing down what it is that the Most High is calling for Moses to do. He's saying go, and then Moses is here. He has all of these these inquiries about things. But the Most High, he's there for these inquiries because he understands. It's interesting when you think about Yeshua, where he talks to the people and they say to him, how will we know that, the Messiah is going to come, or, and so he says, it's a wicked and perverse generation of people that looks for signs and wonders, right? And so there is kind of this understanding that the doubt that exists, and doubt is impossible, without faith it's impossible to please Elohim. And so when we think about doubt, it's something that is going to, it can never draw you closer to the Most High, it can only move you further away from him, right? And so where there's doubt, there's a separation from the Most High. Right. It's the complete opposite of that, right? And so with that, you want for somebody to prove something to you, right? Well, if that's the case, then prove it. I could say, well, I just was coming up here and I seen so-and-so down the street as I was coming. Well, I could say, oh, wow, that's nice. I haven't seen that person in a long time. But maybe for some reason I would doubt it. Then I would just be like, they ain't down there. Like, why would you say that? Because you're doubting the fact that the person is speaking the truth. And so I think that when we think about this whole situation here with Moses and dealing with these people, it's like this, to me, it kind of caused me to think about the idea of your belief being connected to the witness of you, of the message that you're sharing. Right? If somebody is able to understand that you seem to be someone that is of faith and that believes, it can give that person a reason to believe themselves. On the flip side, if it's you know, are some, you know, person that seems faithless, not so sure about your faith situation, but then you know, have this message. It would cause, I would think, for people to not want to believe the message that you have based on the fact that you yourself aren't believing it.
Mm-hmm. Like, if you don't believe it, then why should I believe it?
Yeah, I don't believe in this, but you should.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make any sense, right? Let's look at this verse over here. Let's go over to, hold on one second. Here. Let's go to Romans. Romans 10, read 14 through 17.
It says, "How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without one proclaiming? And how shall they proclaim if they are not sent? As it has been written, how pleasant are the feet of those who bring the good news of peace, who bring the good news of the good. However, not all obeyed the good news. For Yeshayahu says, Yahweh, who has believed our report? So then belief comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of Elohim."
Okay, very good. So when we think about the idea of faith, we think about the idea of believing a message. In this case, the message of the gospel. When we look back at Exodus, this is the gospel for Israel. This is the declaration of the salvation, the deliverance of Israel. You know, there are this afflicted people that need deliverance, and so Moses has this message of deliverance. The Most High is coming to rescue you with a strong arm and a mighty hand. This is good news, right? And so when we look over here in Romans, we're talking about, it says in 17, faith comes from hearing. Your ability to believe needs something for you to believe in. And then you have to hear it. Right? The hearing of the word of Elohim is what brings about faith. That's what we see right here. The hearing of the word of Elohim is what, in fact, brings about faith. But you have to hear it. It's interesting when we think about this over here. Let's look at Isaiah 53 over here as this scriptures brings up, right? When we think about this verse over here and these, you know, what it says, who has believed our report, and to whom was the arm of Yahweh revealed. When we think about Israel, especially at the time of Messiah, right? This, of course, is pre-Messiah, but it's referencing prophetically Messiah. Israel, when Messiah walked the earth, didn't believe the report as a whole. You think about the people as a whole, the people who were in charge, so to speak, didn't believe the report. You know, they, in fact, that's why the Jews crucified him. The Defamation League gonna come after me because I just said that. The Jews crucified them, right? And so when you think about the message, the report that was going forth, they didn't believe. But it's interesting that Messiah, when he talks to those same people, he says Moses spoke of me. The people who read the scriptures and supposedly were supposed to have an understanding of the word should have been able to recognize that Messiah was in fact present in the scriptures, but they did not receive the report. They didn't believe the report, right? And Messiah, who is the arm of Yahweh, wasn't revealed to them. But let's go back over to Genesis. Let's go back to Exodus chapter 4. And think about a few more things over here, because when we look over here, yes, when we look at yes, I don't want to be anti-Semitic. Excuse me. That's funny. Okay, so the Most High also showed the 3 miracles to send a stern message to Moshe. Right. So we see it's interesting. I think that this is twofold, because when we look at the things that the Most High did for Moses to show the people, I think at the same time is also Moses is also seeing this at the same time and needing to see it. I think the hesitation, the excuses that Moses is bringing, he's saying, yes, the people, they won't believe me, they won't listen to me, they'll have this and that to say. I think that not only is the Most High giving Moses, these things that he can do to prove who he is to the people, he's also kind of solidifying, increasing, building up faith in Moses at the same time. And so I think that this is kind of a twofold kind of a situation that's going on. And so it's interesting when we think about, faith in general, right? Because we don't always think about, I can't say we all, there's many that kind of think about this idea of faith being this thing that's, kind of this New Testament concept. Like it's something that's connected with, yes. So, they had, there's the law, and then there's like faith, right? Or this other situation. But when we look over here, it's interesting when we think about what it is that the Most High is doing with Moses is building his faith. And he has to go, and it's necessary for the people, he's building his faith so he can go and speak faith to the people. Let's look at this word here. Let's look at this word here in Exodus 4 and 2. Is it 2? Oh, no, it's 1 here. Sorry. What's this word here? This word here, aman. Aman is the word that means to build up or support, to foster as a parent, to foster as a parent. That's interesting because you think about, me and my modern English, when I think about a foster parent, I think about like somebody who's a parent, but it's not like a foster parent is not like a real, not, I'm saying real, but blood related necessarily. But I think it's because I don't understand the language, I think. Because what is it?
Because you think about, like you said, fostering hope is kind of like building up hope or something. Like you foster something, you're kind of building up something, I guess.
To foster. Foster is to feed, to nourish, to support, to being up. Some say being up.
Oh.
Some say that ravens foster forlorn. I don't know what that means. To cherish, to forward, to promote growth. It's interesting that the way we think about foster is kind of like almost pseudo.
I think about temporary.
Yeah, but that's not right though.
Temporary.
But that's not it. That's not the fullness of.
Fullness.
Like we use this word foster, and to me, we have like this idea that kind of diminishes it. Because here, when we think about this word aman, to build up or support, to foster as a parent or nurse, a real parent fosters their child. Right? A real, actual parent is building up or supporting their child. Right? And so, but we're talking about faith. We're talking about aman, this idea to build up, support, foster, to be firm or faithful, trust, believe, to be true, right? Assurance, steadfast, right? And so the faith is something that is necessary, right? And so Moses, I think, in his disbelief, is both receiving things that will build his faith as well as the people's. Because that's what he's doing, right? The Most High is building up Moses here. He's building up Moses so that he can go and build up those that won't believe in the thing that he has to say. Right? The Most High is fostering Moses, so he's able to go and foster the people so that they can be ready to receive the deliverance that the Most High is providing them with. So this word here is interesting here. Let's look at this word here some more. We talked about this before, but let's talk about it some again. Verse 1. Let's look at the. Hold on 1 second here. Let's move this up here. Let's look at the word study. Where is established? Oh, the primary meaning is that that of providing stability and confidence, like a baby would find in the arms of a parent. Providing stability and confidence, like a baby would find in the arms of a parent. When you're in the arms of your parent, it seems like there's nothing that can happen that's bad to you. Like you fall, you scrape your knee, you run to mommy. As if when you reach mommy, the pain will go away. She has the thing that will cause you to be healed. Right? Because there is a certain confidence and security and assurance that you have in the arms of your parent. And so, but that thing is Aman, right? And so when the Most High says to Moshe, go, through faith, through belief, through assurance and steadfastness and firmness, he should be able to say, okay, I'm going. Not, I can't really talk that good, or they might not believe me, or they're going to sit up here and act like I didn't really see the Most High, but actually I did. Right? All of this, even though he's kind of trying to transfer it on to the people, I think it really is him.
It is. It really is.
It's him.
Because in my mind, he was okay with being in the sheep pastoring business and all of that.
Yeah, he
wasn't
probably
trying to go
became
back
a
to
professional.
Egypt. He wasn't trying to go back to Egypt.
But also, I think because of the fact that the Most High says it, the Most High says, oh yeah, the people that wanted to kill you, they're gone. So I think the fact that the Most High said it helps us to understand that probably one of the reasons that that Moses was in his mind was trying not to go was because he was running from something in the first place.
He was okay.
Because that kind of just gets thrown in there. Oh yeah, the people that was trying to kill you, they're out, they're gone. And so it's like we get that, and I think it helps for us to be able to understand kind of the things that's kind of in the background. But all of it is building the faith of Moses, so that he could go and build the faith of the people. Aman. Yes, fostering is supposed to be a good thing. Yes, it is a good thing. It's, I feel like the original, I don't know this, but I feel like the original intent of foster parents is to parent someone who actually needs to be fostered.
Support someone.
They need to be fostered. And so they receive that because they didn't have it from their regular ones. And then like kind of the way we think about it is different.
And now it just became
But
tradition.
when I think about it more, I guess I can understand the idea of the terminology.
Yeah. In its proper place.
Yeah. Okay, so let's let me see if I'm able to do something here. Hold on one second here. Let me see something here. Let me see if I'm able to. Okay, let's see if I'm able to show this here. Let's see here. 1 second. I'm trying to multitask my screens here. Oh, look at that. Shabbat Shalom from Britain. Wow, it's amazing. International. Okay, let's see something here. Let me oh, I know what I can do. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I'm already sharing that. I'm trying to put my I have limited capabilities here. Oh, I know what I can do. Let me look at. I can put this over here. Let's see here. Trying to find the ancient. Oh, here we go, right here. Aman. Okay, Aman is the Aleph, the Mem, and the Nun. Aleph, Mem, Nun. Aleph, Mem, Nun. And so the Aleph, of course, is the ox's head. It is strength. It is power. Interestingly enough, the Mem is mighty, which is, it's kind of synonymous with power. It's water. Water is pretty powerful, right? And the Nun, which is the sprouted seed. And so when we think about Aman, which is this thing that is assurance, firm, trust, belief, in the pictures, we see this idea of power, strength, might, and the continuance of it. Right? If I have faith in the thing that the Most High has ordained, I'm moving forward in that thing and not turning around. Right? I'm strong in that. I'm mighty in that, and I'm continuing in that direction, right? That's faith. And so when we think about Moses, when he's sitting up here saying that, if they don't believe me, he is actually doubting. Because the Most High already said what was going to be, right? And so the Most High, Moses, is doubting what the Most High already said, right? He already told Moses what the people were going to do. So he was supposed to just go, right? But again, like the human thing, is for us to have doubt, right? But we have to fight the urge to doubt and understand that the thing that the Most High has for us to be doing, he is going to do it. Let's go over to Hebrews 4:14 to the end of the chapter there. Let's read that. Hold on 1 second here. Hebrews 4:14 through 16.
That says, therefore, since we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens, Yeshua the son of Elohim, let us hold fast our confession. For we do not have a high priest unable to sympathize with our weaknesses.
Hold on. he said, let us hold fast our confession. We say that Messiah, Yeshua, is our master. So if we're holding fast to our confession, we're holding fast to the fact that Messiah is in fact our master. So, we'll behave accordingly. Right? If we understand who Messiah is, creator, sustainer, if he's saying for us to be moving in a particular direction, we aren't holding fast to our confession if we say, well, I know he said that I'm supposed to be going this way or that way, but what if this happens? Right? What if that happens? Right? I'm not holding fast to the fact that I know that the creator of all things has ordered for me to do this or that. Right? And so when we think about Moses, where the Most High said, you go and deliver these people and meet me at the mountain, for Moses to say anything other than, yes, sir,
Yes, sir.
is doubt. And he's not holding fast to the confession. Right? We say that Messiah is our Lord and Savior. Mm-hmm. If you don't say it, you should say it. Because he is. Mm-hmm. But are we living our lives with that in mind? The Most High is requiring for Moses' actions to line up with his words. Okay? He's calling him Elohim. Mm-hmm. When we say that the Most High is in fact our Elohim, then, and we acknowledge the things that we say that we hear from him, when we come up with excuses as to why we're not doing the things that we know that the Most High has said for us to be doing, now you have put something above the Most High. Mm-hmm. You put something above him. I know the Most High wants me to do this, but there's this thing.
Yes, as soon as you say but, man.
But, yes, it's terrible.
Where it goes wrong.
It's terrible. It's a terrible thing, right? Okay, so keep on going. Read verse 15.
18, for we do not have a high priest unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who was tried in all respects as we are apart from sin.
See, we need to understand that Messiah came and lived in this flesh. Think about, again, understanding who Messiah is. Right? Understanding who Messiah is, all that he must have went through to even come and be a human. It must be pretty confining, I would say. It must be pretty claustrophobic for the Most High to make himself a container and then get in it and decide to follow all of the human rules.
The lowly human.
And live by the laws of gravity and whatever else is included in time. Right? Imagine what we should be able to understand a little bit of the constraints that Yeshua placed on his own self. Messiah being who he is, knowing fully who he is, going to his own hometown, and for people looking at him and seeing Messiah, Yeshua, I should say, in the flesh, and just not even believing in him. But I guess at any moment he could have did this like outrageously miraculous extra thing he could have just, he could have did like what he did with his disciples and with the transfiguration. Right? But just under normal circumstances, there was people that was able to see the things that he did, and that was enough for them. Right? But imagine the rejection that Messiah would have felt at times with people who weren't able to accept the message that he was bringing. And then think about whatever it is that you go through in your little life. Your hardships can't compare to Messiah. Right? The things that we go through can't be compared to the end, to the glory that we will experience. So when we think about, our human, earthly constraints, the things that potentially hold us back, they only hold us back because we're not thinking about things from a spiritual perspective. If we think about things from a spiritual perspective, then we don't have any limits. The Most High, when he gives us these things that he calls for us to be doing, he already took that into consideration. He said in verse 15, "For we do not have a high priest that's unable to sympathize with your weaknesses." He knows about your weaknesses, but then he still said, "Go over there and do this." He understands what it's like to be a human, because it says, "But one who was tried in all respects as we are, apart from sin." Right? He didn't sin. Like he don't have that on his resume, sin. Okay, read 16.
16.
Therefore, it says, therefore. So all that stuff, take all that other stuff into account. Therefore, take all that stuff into account. What does it say?
Let us come boldly to the throne of Pharaoh.
Of who?
Of favor. What? Let us come boldly to the throne of favor in order to receive compassion and find favor for timely help.
For timely help. The Most High is able to be there with us every step of the way. He's able to sympathize with our weaknesses, and he's able to make considerations for those weaknesses when we come boldly before the throne of grace to receive the things that he has to offer to us. So instead of Moses making excuses, he could have just been like, "I'm a little scared. Just help me out a little bit." He could have just came out and said it instead of trying to act like the people wasn't going believe. He could have just been like, "Most High, just help me a little bit," because he wasn't believing.
I mean, when he left, Pharaoh was in charge. Everybody was slaves.
It was bad. In fact, it just got worse while he was gone.
There was just like no hope. So why would he think that he was going to go without an army without any
Without an army.
without anything, just words to Pharaoh, and something was going to actually happen
Yeah.
as a result of that.
Because of the Most High and who He is. When we are able to keep the Most High in our situations, we're able to understand His qualities, the things that He's bringing to the table. He's able to be there for. Look what He does. He's actually giving compassion and grace to Moses in all of this by dealing with his insecurities and his inabilities to just walk and go forward when the Most High is saying to go forward. Right? He gives them these signs. Right? He's encouraging Moses. Here, if you don't want to just go and just start walking forward here, I'll give you a reason to do it. Here, give me this stick right there. Let me see this stick. Here, just throw the stick down.
First angle.
Let's throw the stick down. Here, take this rod and throw the thing down. And then turn into a little snake. Right? Now it's interesting when we think about this. Hold on, let's see what this is first before we keep on going here. It's like Moshe understood that what Yah said as the people should believe me. However, there was no guarantee. So it was more logical for the people not to believe him. Yes. Yeah, I guess when you think about things from that type of a perspective, it's like the people, yes, maybe we're thinking about the way that the people are, humanity, you probably, we're doubtful. We're doubtful as people. But again, we have to get to the place where we go beyond our physical understanding. Let's look at this here first. Let's go to 1 Corinthians before we keep going here. Let's look at 1 Corinthians. First Corinthians 10. Start reading at, let's see here, 13.
It says, no trial has overtaken you except such as is common to man. And Elohim is trustworthy.
Elohim is trustworthy. This is interesting. I don't think people think about this properly, but it's an interesting verse when you think about it. No temptation has overtaken you except such that's common to man. You just regular human things that's happening to you. You sit up here, you go through these situations, you think it's the end of the world, but there's no temptations going to overtake you. It's just things that's happening from a human perspective. And Elohim is trustworthy. So even though it seems like it's the end of the world, the Most High is there for you. What else do it say?
Who shall not allow you to be tried beyond what you are able?
Let me just say that you can be tried beyond what you're able if you don't trust in Elohim. There's a trust that has to, there's a thing that you got to do over here. It's not like no temptation is going to overtake you because the Elohim won't allow you to be tried beyond what you're able. Because guess what? If you don't trust in the Most High, the trial's going to overtake you.
You're going to be able to get through any trial.
No.
You won't be able to.
No.
You don't have any faith.
No.
That's what people try to say all the time. And then it's like,
What's it like?
I mean, they don't trust.
Yeah, and so you look at this verse and say, well, there's nothing that's going to happen to me that is going to be more than I can handle. That's true if you have faith. But if you don't have faith, then there is going to be something that's going to happen to you that you're not going to be able to handle. No trial has overtaken you except common things to man. And Elohim is trustworthy. He's trustworthy to do what? To watch you just suffer through things? No. He's trustworthy to be there for you in your time of need. And if we trust in him, we should know that he's not going to allow for us to be tried beyond what we're able if we trust in him. But the trusting part is the part that we got. I mean, if we're not being faithful, if we're not trusting in the Most High, we can't experience this verse right here. And so we look at Moses, he needed to kind of be fortified before he was able to even move forward, so that he was able to perform the task. Like, look, keep on going. You said, but
with the trial shall also make the way of escape.
he's gonna make a way of escape, enabling you to bear it. But there got to be faith involved. Because if you get into a place of faithlessness, how you gonna survive? How you gonna survive the trial? You can't. Right? This ain't one of these things where we could just say that, oh, I believe in Elohim, so therefore nothing bad's gonna happen to me. I have to keep on believing. I have to keep on holding fast. It's interesting that this word faith, aman, means to hold fast or to be firm. So something can't be firm and then be soft and then be firm again and actually be firm, right? It has to continue being firm, right? If I'm holding something up, I mean, I experienced this, working in the field of building things. If me and someone is lifting something, and I'm using my superior strength I don't have superior strength. I'm using my superior strength to hold my part of the thing. I have to continue with whatever strength that I had to lift the thing and hold the thing in order for us both to be able to put the thing where we're putting it. At any moment, if I stop giving the energy that I have and adding that to the situation, the whole situation falls. So whatever amount of firmness that I use to elevate a particular thing, of this or that, I have to maintain that strength and energy in order to keep going. If I had to make myself to be firm in order to hold the thing, the moment that I stop doing that, the thing ain't going to be held anymore. And so when we think about the idea of making it through trials and this whole idea of temptations and being overtaken, if we don't continue in faith, the verse is telling us here, it's giving us a step-by-step situation. There's no trial that you can't make it through, but we have to understand that Elohim is trustworthy, where he's going to be there for us. And this thing that you think is so bad is really just a thing that's just common to man. And if you think about the Most High and involve him in the situation, he'll make a way of escape and enable you to bear the temptation. But if you don't trust in the Elohim who is trustworthy, you're going to be stuck in the trial and it's going to overtake you. Look what it say. Read 14. This is a key part right here. Hold on one second. Let me flip back over here to it. Let me push it up a little bit so we can see here. Hold on. Read verse. What's going on here? Oh, hold on. I'm pushing the wrong button. Move it up here. Read 14 right
It
there.
says, therefore, my beloved ones, flee from idolatry.
It said, so this therefore is connecting this back to this. Therefore is connecting it back to over here, right? Because he said all of this, there's something for you to do, which is flee. Flee from idolatry. But if you don't flee from idolatry, then there's going to be things that you're going to get into your situation that you're not going to be able to bear. Right? You see how there's a connection? There's action that's involved. And so this is connected because we think about Moses. Moses, you know, he spoke these things about faith, and he believes in the Most High. He knows that you're the one who is here. There's an introduction. If it's you so much, tell me what your name is, so I'm able to tell them what your name is. And he told them and all of that. And now he's going, but there's still some doubt. There's still some doubt, right? And so we have to understand that it's a continual thing that we have to always keep doing. The thing that started you on your journey could only get you but so far. It's just like a tank of gas. You know, I filled my tank up one time. That should last me forever.
Wash clothes.
Yeah, I wash my clothes before they're clean. When I put them on, and then as soon as I walk around, I sweat from one of these little kids that get chocolate and stuff all over. It's just got to get washed again. Right? We have to continually go to the Most High and allow him to continually do the thing that he said he was going to do for us. Right? He said he's going to continue and help us and do it. Right? But we have to allow him these things. And so we see over here with the staff turning into a snake, with Moses' hand going. Here, hold on a second. Let's look at this. We think about this idea of Moses tossing this rod down. It's interesting when we think about, let's go back over here. It's interesting when we think about this imagery here with the rod turning into a serpent, right? Because Moses, he says to the snake, the stick turned into a snake. And then it then turned back to a stick, and then he picked it up, right? He said to go down and grab the snake, and then it turned back to, he said, hold on, read verse 4 right there.
And Yahweh said to Moshe, reach out your hand and seize it by the tail. So he reached out his hand and took hold of it, and it became a rod in his hand.
So he took a rod, and he threw the rod down. The rod turned to a snake, and then I'm saying that he didn't reach down and it turned back to a snake and then he picked it up. The Most High said, reach out your hand and seize it by the tail. I don't know about you. But I'm scared of snakes. I don't know the difference between a snake that could bite me and kill me, or one that could suffocate me to death, or one that's not going to do anything to me. I don't know the difference. If I see them all, I feel like all of them could bite me and put venom in my body that's going to turn my blood into gelatin. That's what it does. I don't know if you knew that. That stuff in the venom turns your blood into jello, where it can't pump through your veins anymore, and then you die. I don't know which snake's gonna do that and which ain't. So it took faith for Moses to even reach his hand out and grab you by the tail. Because how come he was just gonna reach down there? But I'd be like, hold on, could you just turn it back to a staff before I try to pick it up? But he said he reached out his hand and seized it by the tail, so he did it, and it became a rod in his hand. And so it took faith for him to do that. But when you think about snakes, when I think about snakes, I think about Nakash. I think about Nakash, right? The tempter, right? But Moses is given control over the tempter. In this situation, the tempter here is Pharaoh, right? Nakash, Hasatan, the adversary, is Pharaoh. And the Most High is giving Moses control over the thing that has potential to harm him. And he's causing Moses to understand more fully who really is in control of things. But he didn't just stop there. He has this other situation where he turns Moses. Here, read 6 and 7 again.
6 and 7. It says, and Yahweh said to him again, now put your hand in your bosom. And he put his hand in his bosom, and when he took it out, and see, his hand was leprous like snow. And he said, put your hand in your bosom again. So he put his hand in his bosom again, and drew it out of his bosom. And see, it was restored like his other flesh.
It's interesting when we look at this thing that kind of like, we don't think about these leprosy and all these things in these days. But in those times, it's one of these things where you understand what it is. And one of the things that it was this thing that if you was healed from it, it was because of what the Almighty did. And so he brought the plague upon him, and he took the plague away. Like he's showing forth his power to Moses. But at the same time, he's giving Moses, he's fortifying the faith of Moses, and he's also giving Moses these tricks, I don't know, to do to, I don't know, what is it? It's a tricks. To do to miracles. Okay, that's a better word, miracles. To do to fortify the faith of the people, to prove who is behind all of these things, right? And then again, so he shows them these three things. It's interesting, Moses. He's cracking me up with all of this stuff that he's doing, Moses. But again, when we look at Moses, he's human. First of all, he's human. But we see the maturation, the process that's involved with Moses, where he just always he didn't always just have all of the answers. He didn't always have total control of the situations, right? There was a time where he was a little more kind of apprehensive as it related to the things that thus says the Most High, right? What does it say over here in verse 10 and 11 here?
And Moshe said to Yahweh, O Yahweh, I am not a man of words, neither before nor since you have spoken to your servant, for I am slow of speech and slow of tongue.
He said, what? I am not a man of words, neither before nor since you have spoken to you. I didn't used to be able to talk, and I can't talk now. It ain't like I used to be able to talk good, and then I just started like this ain't nothing new. I ain't been able to talk right, and you want to sit up here and choose me, Moses?
King James made it sound nice though.
Huh?
King James made it sound real nice the way he said it.
Oh, hold on. What did
I
this?
have been able to talk.
Hold on.
I am not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto my servant. But I
King
am
James
slow
cracked
of
me
speech.
up. How you gonna sit up here and be saying, "I am not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant"? Like that's really eloquent just to even say eloquent,
Yeah.
right? I think I like it better in this other version because when you think about,
But I ain't able to talk. I ain't used to be able to talk.
hold on, it didn't say all.
You said, yeah, that you said I ain't used to be able to talk. I'm
that-
not able to talk right now.
I'm saying that's what he's essentially that's what he's saying though, right?
I ain't used to
For
be
I
able
am
to
slow of speech and slow of tongue.
goodness.
Right? His tongue is heavy. That's what he's saying. They got a heavy tongue. Right? Words are heavy in his mouth. They don't just flow. They don't just flow off of his tongue. Right? He is slow at speech. Right? And he's slow of tongue. This is this kind of euphemistic, right? It's a euphemism, right? He don't talk that good, right? He got a heavy tongue. I don't know if it's like it's not really like his tongue ain't literally heavy, right? Because he ends up being able to talk. Either he was miraculously healed, or he's just kind of saying that he's not really. You're right. So either way, if he really did have like a speech impediment, like Moses, I don't know if he did. If he did, I'm saying even if he did have a speech impediment, he's miraculously healed, or he's just kind of being, he's using these words. He's given this an euphemism and saying my tongue is heavy. I can't talk that good. Either way, again, this whole chapter, when we look at what's going on with Moses and the Most High, the thing that's going on between them is the Most High encouraging Moses in this time of need for him. He's moving into this arena that he's never been there before. And the Most High he's not just saying, just get yourself together and go out there and do it. He said, what did he say in verse 11? Hold on 1 second. Let me go back over there. Oh, wait a second. Let's get off of this. Okay, what's the verse 11 say?
He said, and Yahweh said to him, who has made man's mouth? Or who makes dumb or deaf or seeing or blind? Is it not I, Yahweh?
Yes. So whatever it is that Moses is thinking is going on with his mouth, Moses said, I'm the one that made your mouth. Why you think I'm going to send you out here and I'm not going to have you be totally prepared for the situation? Go. I'll tell you what to say. He said, I'll be with your mouth and teach you what to say. maybe I don't know. Maybe Moses wasn't that smart. Maybe Moses didn't have, which makes it even more miraculous. Maybe he did talk funny. Maybe he wasn't that smart. But verse 12 right here says, "You go, and I'll be with your mouth." He said. He said, "I'll be with your mouth, and I'll teach you what to say." And so, again, at every step of the way, the Most High is teaching Moses. He's helping him to understand better the fact that he don't even have. Now, even at this, Moses, he didn't say, "Well, I'll tell you this. Like, this is what I'll do." It's so vague. There's no. I know a certain person who they would have needed more than this right here. They would have needed more than verse 12. Well, what you gonna teach me to say? Somebody might say. Well, what actually is you gonna put in my mouth? Like, I need to just know exactly what it is that I will say so I could get ready to say it whenever it gets time for me to say it. Like, but he said, "I'm going, when you get to the place, I'm going to fix your mouth and I'm going to teach you what to say." And so the Most High is teaching Moses how to walk by faith, not by sight. He didn't give him some long paragraph of all of the things, line by line, what it was that he's going to do. Just go, and as it comes about, then I'll tell you, just open up your mouth, and then words are going to come out, and that's going to be what it's going to be. But that's faith, though, right? And so here, let's keep on going here. Hold on one second. Let me push it back up again. Okay, go ahead. 13.
13 says, "But he said, O Yahweh, please send by the hand of him whom you would send. And the displeasure of Yahweh burned against Moshe. And he said, Is not Aaron the Levite your brother? I know that he speaks well. And see, he is also coming out to meet you. And when he sees you, and when he sees you, he shall be glad in his heart.
Okay, just read 15.
And you shall speak to him and put the words in his mouth. And I am with your mouth and with his mouth, and I shall teach you what to do."
Okay, very good. So it's interesting, again, the Most High is kind of encouraging Moshe as he continues to have these different excuses. But he also, as we looked, he understands our weaknesses. Like Paul said, he understood Moshe's weaknesses and understood it's going to take him some time. I know he understands our humanness, right? He said, "Here, just take your brother with you." I ain't gonna sit up here and go back and forth with you about this. Just take your brother. He talk good. He can talk for you. You tell him what to say, and then he could say that. But the point here, when we look at this, is that the Most High continues to encourage Moses as he goes. And so it's interesting when we look at this chapter here, where this is really the main theme of the chapter, where there's some hesitation with Moses, and the Most High is there to encourage, to build up Moses so that he's able to continue and do the task. Let's go over to, I want to look at Isaiah here, because the Most High, this is how he be. Like, this is what he does, and an encourager, right? Let's go over to, I'll look at a couple of things here. Let's look at, read really quickly Isaiah 41 here.
Whole chapter?
No, just start reading at the first verse.
All right, it says, "Be silent before me, you coastlands, and let peoples renew their power. Let them come near, then let them speak. Let us come together for right ruling. Who raised up the righteous one from the east, called him to his foot, gave the nations before him, and made sovereigns submit to him. He gave them as the dust to his sword, as driven stubble to his bow. He pursued them, passed over in safety, by a path that he had not gone with his feet. Who has performed and done it, calling the generations from the beginning? I, Yahweh, am the first, and with the last I am he. Coastlands see it and fear, and ends of the earth are afraid. They draw near and come. Everyone helps his neighbor and says to his brother, be strong. And the craftsman strengthens the goldsmiths. He who smooths with the hammer inspires him who strikes the anvil, saying of the joining, it is good, and he strengthens it with nails, so it does not totter.
It's interesting when we look at this, we see kind of it's the same idea, right? Right here he's talking to the people in you coastlands, right? O islands. Verse 5, he says, in the King James, the isles saw it, coastlands. These are the nations, right? This word here, coastlands here. Let's look at this. This word here, the isles, is this word a habitable spot, dry land, an island. An island is interesting. It's a dry place with water all around. When we think about water, water's life, right? The good things are where water is. The island, it may be close to the water, but it's dry there, right? And so these places, he's talking about the nations, right? But he's talking about the nations for the betterment of Israel, though. Because he said all that, and then he say in verse 8, what he said?
He said, but you, Israel,
he said, but you. I was talking about these other people, and look at what they did. They're doing these things. The hammer guy is encouraged by the goldsmith guy. And the person who fastens, he fastens, there's a solderer. They all help each other, right? But you, he said, then what he said in verse 8?
But you, Israel, are my servants, Yahob, whom I have chosen, the descendants of Abraham who loved me.
Then what did he do?
He said, whom I have strengthened from the ends of the earth.
I've strengthened from the ends of the earth. He's encouraging the people to move forward in his will. Keep on going.
And called from its farthest parts, and said to you, you are my servant. I have chosen you and have not rejected you. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not look around, for I am your Elohim. I shall fortify you. I shall help you.
Why did he say, do not look around? That's cracking me up. Because the Most High is calling for his people to be able to still, all the way back, since he was talking to Moses, to just, if you would just trust in me. Don't be sitting up here looking around. Just go ahead and go, right? I'll fortify you, he said. Where's my favorite part at? Where is it at? He said, hold on, let me see where it's at. He gonna say something that'll crack me up when I look at it. He said, keep on reading. I'll see it when you get to it.
What's my
verse 11.
Verse 11, see, all those who raged against you are ashamed and blush. They are as non-existent. and the men who strive with you perish. You seek them, but do not find them, those who struggle with you. Those who fight you are as non-existent as naught. For I, Yahweh, your Elohim, am strengthening your right hand, saying to you, do not fear, I shall help you.
Oh, here we go, right here, 14.
Do not fear, you worm Yaakov.
Wait a second. How's that encouraging? Do not fear, you worm, Yaakov. What's a worm? A worm is like the most pitifulest thing. It don't got no spine. A worm don't. It got like veins and skin and flesh.
Couple
There's no bones. It's the least firmest thing that you could think of. I guess a slug ain't. But a slug is like a worm. He said, do not fear, you worm. I thought he was encouraging. I thought he was being encouraging. Keep on reading.
You men of Israel, I shall help you, declares Yahweh, and your Redeemer, the set apart one.
The Most High wants you to understand, it don't matter that you're a worm. It don't matter that there's no physical thing that you could do that could help you in your pursuits and the things that I'm calling for you to do, because I will help you. He said, what are he saying for 14 right there? He's still talking to the worm who's Jacob. What did he say?
He says, I shall help you, declares Yahweh, and your Redeemer, the set apart one.
Hold
of
on, what
Israel.
verse is you reading? Oh yeah, keep 15.
And in 15 says, see, I shall make you into a new threshing sledge.
He gonna take the worm, the lowest thing that you could think about being, this worm that's nothing. He already said that you was nothing. Then he went further and said you a worm. He said, I'm gonna make you into a new threshing sledge with sharp teeth. And then what he gonna do?
He gonna let you thresh mountains and beat them small, and make hills like chaff.
He gonna take this nothing thing, this thing that's nothing, is the lowliest of things, and through his strength and power, not yours because you're nothing, you're just a worm, you're going to thresh a mountain and beat it small. What do 16 say?
You winnow them. The wind lifts them up, and the whirlwind scatters them.
We don't understand what it is to winnow something because we don't know what a winnowing fan is. But it was this big old a winnowing fan is this thing that kind of looks like a rake that you rake leaves with, and you sit there and you sweep it back and forth on the grain, and it separates the grain from the chaff from the grain. It separates the bad parts of the grain from the good parts. But it's this agitator of the grain. It's a tool, and so it takes so for you to be the winnowing thing, like you're the thing that's moving but he's talking about the mountains though. You're winnowing the mountains, like you're taking these big immovable things and you're going back and forth and separating the parts of the mountain though.
Says,
But the Most High's doing it. Like he's the force and power that's causing for this thing to take place. And so when we look at the Most High talking to Israel and saying that Israel is a worm, at the same time he's causing Israel to understand that it don't matter what your physicalness brings to the situation, because the Most High is doing the work. And so the same thing is true when we think about what the Most High is doing with Moses over in chapter 4. You go, speak what I say, I'll teach you what to do, I'll give you all the answers if you would just trust in me. You know, we look at, Moses and think about our own situations and our, abilities or inabilities for that matter to do this or that. We have to be able to understand that the Most High is there with us at all times, and He's readying us to do the thing that He said for us to be doing. You said even a worm has a purpose, and absolutely, a worm has a great purpose. Everything has a purpose, but the idea, I think, is just that this it's a pretty lowly thing, right? But the Most High is able to take this lowly thing and cause it to do great and mighty, miraculous deeds.
There we go.
Okay. Lastly, let's drop down. Let's go down to verse 20. Let's look at verse 21. Let's see here. Let's go down. Let's see here. Read verse 21.
It says, and Yahweh said to Moshe, as you go back to Mizraim, see that you do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in your hand, but I am going to strengthen his heart so that he does not let the people go.
Hold on a second.
Now, see, this is where I would be having questions.
Wait a second. I'm going down there to say to the people, let my people go, but now you saying I'm going to strengthen his heart so that they don't let the people go? Which one is it? Like, is it going to let the people go, or is you not going to let the people go? Hold on, this King James. What did King James say? Heart in his heart. Yeah.
Heart in his heart.
Kazak. To fasten up, to seize, to be strong, strengthen, repair, fortify, obstinate, bind, restrain, conquer. So the Most High going to harden Pharaoh's heart so that he don't let the people go. I feel like if I was looking at this and somebody else was talking about it, I would have something to say about hardening heart of Pharaoh. It's interesting when you think about this idea of hardening Pharaoh's heart. I'm one to always think that the hardening of Pharaoh's heart is the Most High not softening his heart. I feel like it's not him doing something to make it hard. I think he's not doing something to make it soft. Which at the same time, I guess, is the way in which he hardens it. The way in which he hardens it is by not softening it. I like to think about, let me see, I like to think about this verse here. We're can I find the beginning? Oh, here, read verse 5.
It says, I am Yahweh, and there is none else. There is no Elohim besides me. I gird you, though you have not known me, so that they know from the rising of the sun to its setting that there is none but me. I am Yahweh, and there is none else, forming light and creating darkness, making peace and creating evil. I, Yahweh, do all these.
There. Says it right there. Most High created evil. So it's hard to think that he hardened his heart because he created evil. He made good, he made evil, he made Pharaoh be bad so that he could show how good that he was. That's kind of what he said right there, right?
He made dichotomies. Things for lessons to show differences, distinctions between.
Yeah. Is that what he's doing?
Well, he's making a difference. A distinction.
When we see creation, where did he create darkness?
He just separated it from the darkness.
You saying something different now. What you saying?
Well, I'm saying, I guess maybe there was something there and he created something else that was different, separated.
I'm saying from the account. Well, do we see where he created darkness? I'm not saying he didn't create it, but
Well, it started out one.
that's a baseline, it seems like, from the creation story. Then he created light. Darkness isn't anything, is it? What's darkness in physics? Does it matter?
I mean, it's really nothing because you don't have.
Oh, there's dark matter.
No,
What's a black hole?
well, that's it. The actual whatever is in there, its gravity doesn't allow light to escape. So that's why you can't see it.
Oh, something that's holding back the light.
It's holding the light inside. Yes.
You can't even describe it as anything. You said whatever is in there, whatever that is.
Well,
It's some kind of
the,
force.
compacted mass that's so compacted that
Light can't escape
light
it.
can't escape from it.
I'm saying that my thoughts on the matter is that darkness isn't something. It's not. It's the absence of something. Evil isn't something. It's the absence of something. Cold isn't something. It's the absence of something. If it's cold, it's only because there's not any heat there. If it's dark, it's only because there's not any light there. Like if there's evil, it's only because there's not any good there. I'm saying when we think about darkness, that's like there's no energy involved in darkness. Even when you describe the black hole, the energy is the thing that's so powerful that the actual light energy is being held back and restrained. So even that in of itself is something. But like actual darkness is the absence of something. The light is the energy. Right? And so when we think about the way that the Most High would harden the heart of Pharaoh is not being in his heart. He's not adding to his situation. He's just going to let him just be whatever he is. He's not going to add any love. If the Most High is love, he's not going to add any love to the heart of Pharaoh, which will cause him to have no love. And so he don't soften Pharaoh's heart, and therefore I guess that's the way that he hardens it. Right? He's not being a part of Pharaoh's heart and mind in the situation, which, when you think about it, the Most High is actually battles against Pharaoh and his gods, right? He systematically, as we'll see as we go through, he'll systematically attacks all of the gods of Egypt, right? And so he never, gets into the heart of Pharaoh. He's the adversary, but he's doing all of these things to, just like he does with Moses, he'll do with the people, Israel and the Egyptians, and with Moses, to allow them all to see the power that he has. When we look at all of the things that the Most High, the wonders and miracles that the Most High performs, they're all a thing. They're all things that just like what the Most High was doing with Moses here, with the plague. With the staff and the leprosy, to prove who he is to Moses. The same thing is true for Egypt and Pharaoh. And Pharaoh he's basically beaten into submission, right? He never believes necessarily, but he is able to get to the place of understanding that there's nothing that he's able to do to stop the power of the Most High, and so he must concede. Right? He's literally beaten into submission, right? And so, the Most High shows his power, and he uses Pharaoh here because of the fact that he has a hard heart, because of the fact that he doesn't know the Most High and doesn't have that relationship with the Father. The fact that he is this person who is actually perfect for the task of being obstinate against the Most High. And so when we look at, I always think it's interesting when we think about the idea of the way that the Most High, or says that he hardens his heart. To me, this is how I think about it. Someone else might have other thoughts. The way I think about it is the fact that it makes sense to say that he wasn't with Pharaoh. He wasn't in the heart of Pharaoh. Therefore, Pharaoh, behaved in a way that a godless man would behave. And the way that he hardened his heart was by not touching his heart. When we think about, our response to the Most High and who he is, I think at the end of the day, we all must be touched in our heart to be able to, receive, a change in our hearts and our minds. At some point, the Most High, he, knew whether we would accept or not, and therefore says that he chose us based on, his foreknowledge. And so that little bit of faith that he knew that we would have when his when his word goes forth. We know that our little bit of faith is increased by the Spirit of the Most High. And so we're able to look at Moses in his situation where the Most High is telling him, I guess he is really giving him a lot of information over here. He's letting them know you're going into the situation that's going to actually seem like it's not going to end the way that you want for it to end. Pharaoh's heart's going to be hard. He's not going to easily let the people go, but he will let the people go. Right? He's telling them, it's not going to be just cut and dry. You're not just going to go over here and speak to Pharaoh one time and then that's going to be it. It's going to be kind of a back and forth situation, but at the end of the day, you will prevail. And so I think that, this is kind of similar to when we think about what our situations can be in life. We have to be able to trust in the Most High and know that we're going to face our Egypts. We're going to face our Pharaohs. The Most High not dealing with those people, and so they're not going to deal right with us. But at the end of the day, the Most High is going to, rule in our favor, and he's going to be with us the entire way. And so we can't look at, people's, responses and think that is, what if Moses would have went to Pharaoh and the way that Pharaoh was, dictated how he was going to move forward. In other words, kind of the way that Moses goes and speaks with Pharaoh, and Pharaoh just says, I will not let my people go. Right? If Moses looked at, the response of the one who wasn't connected to the Most High and thought that was the end all be all, that would have been the end of the story just right there. But Moses was able to look at the word of the Almighty and know that, the Most High said what the end of this whole situation was going to be. And, that is the thing that determines, the end. Mm-hmm. And so when we look at this chapter in particular, it's interesting when we see this kind of side of Moses where he is really kind of in this building process where, he needs this extra push. He needs the extra encouragement so that he's able to move forward. But when we look at, by the time Moses actually gets going with this whole task, it's almost like it helps us to think about, the verses that we looked at in Isaiah where the Most High is able to take these lowly things, the worm, and turn them into these mighty beings. Because Moshe, he not only, is able to go before, this world ruler and, make his demands with his slow speech, if he had slow speech. But he's manifesting the power of the Most High, and he of course comes out on top. And so, when we look at this kind of in conclusion, when we think about our life, in this world, we all have a overall mission to, first of all, come to Messiah, and second of all, expand this kingdom of the Father, right? This is everybody's task. You all have your different parts to play in that, to whatever degrees it may be. But, at the end of the day, you come to the Father and bring people to the Father. It's everybody's job, right? To whatever degree. Some people to, a vast degree, and other people to just a small degree. But whatever that is, come to the Father, bring people to the Father. And so, we have to have this understanding, kind of like Moses, where, you may think that in your mind that you're not worthy to do this task. But the Most High is telling you, yeah, you are worthy. I'm giving you everything that you need in order to do it. Just go out there and do it. I'm not even going to tell you exactly every time how, in fact, you're going to exactly do it, but I'll teach you what to say, and I'll give you the words. You don't even have to know the words ahead of time. And so it's interesting when we look at this chapter specifically, where we think about the fact that Moses was going to do this huge task to go and free the people from bondage. And there's not even really this concrete plan other than go over there and tell Pharaoh to let my people go. And so I think that is interesting because, sometimes it don't always even got to be about some extravagant plan. It just got to be just go and do the thing. Just go and do the thing. You got the gist. Yeshua saving you from sin. You get the gist.
About to get out.
Yeah, we in this place now, but something good's gonna happen on the other side. Now you got the gist, right? Just go and do the work. Mm-hmm. All right, let me see if I didn't see what some of the. I see some things I didn't look at over here. I didn't see this. What does this say? Moshe's esteeming himself lowly plays a large part in why Yah Elohim chooses Moses for the job. Who was he anymore to anyone? A banished prince, a shepherd? He went from the top to the bottom. Yes, we know that Moses was the most humblest person in the Bible. He said it himself. And so it's interesting when we see Moses, where he's literally like, having these thoughts like, I'm not able, I'm not even worthy to do it. But at the same time, it's interesting when we look at Moses, where, there comes a time when you could forget his beginnings, because the Most High literally did transform him into a new creation, Moses. Y'all called Moshe from what Moshe may have viewed as a low point in his life, and he answered hesitantly and in humility, but he answered. Yes. And I think that's the key to answer. You know, the Most High is calling us, every single one of us. And we could, yeah,
No, you're not talking to me.
yeah, that's somebody else. Did I hear from? Did he tell me to? He answered. He didn't have all the right answers, but he definitely answered. All right, so I think that for now, I think we are going to go ahead and be done from our little place, our location, undisclosed location. All right. We want to say for now, Shabbat Shalom to everyone.
Shalom.
Hopefully, everyone enjoys the rest of their Shabbat. And Yah willing, we will be back on next week to continue with our look at the Triennial Torah portion. All right, so now we'll say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat